Everybody good? All right, we'll get started. So for those that don't know me, my name is Chief Dave Harkins. Just a couple of the ground rules that we're going to be going by for this press conference. The mayor will make a statement. I will follow up with a statement. I know Senator Moriarty's here and Assemblyman Miller, and we also have various members of the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, as well as Councilwoman Grace and Councilwoman Troxel is here, and as part of that. But we'll be open to any questions at the end from credentialed members of the media, and then we'll take any questions you have. Okay? With that, I'd like to introduce the Mayor of Gloucester Township, the Honorable David Mayer.
Thank you, Chief. Well, thank you very much, Chief. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. You know, last June, at the end of a very successful Gloucester Township Day, filled with many family-friendly activities, a group of hundreds of unruly and unparented juveniles disrupted that nice gathering, turning it into chaos. This year, the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, as the Chief mentioned, which are standing behind me, Harry Morgan is the chair, Richard Hollingshead is the treasurer, and other members. They started to go ahead and start planning Gloucester Township Day for this year, with some modifications as to the time of the event. The township then made one social media announcement about this event. Fortunately, the Gloucester Township Police Department was monitoring the post, and what occurred after that one posting is both alerting and sad. That one post was then circulated around the internet over 20,000 times by what appears to be juveniles expressing their excitement about showing up and once again causing disruption and chaos. In consultation with the Gloucester Township Police Department and the Gloucester Township Day Scholarship Committee, the decision was made to postpone this year's Gloucester Township Day activities. No one standing up here wanted to do that, but everyone standing up here, having seen the onslaught of concerning social media posts, knew it was the right decision. Once having this knowledge, we could not take the risk that unruly mobs of juveniles would show up, as our priority is the health and safety of the public. Now, although Gloucester Township Day will not be in its current form, the work of the men and women behind me at the Scholarship Committee, their work will continue. And I said to them that we should maybe look at this as an opportunity to raise even more donations that go directly to Gloucester Township High School seniors. And I want to thank the Scholarship Committee for all their hard work and their dedication over many, many years. They are all volunteers, and they take their time to host fundraisers throughout the year for that cause. We have a juvenile crisis in this country. We saw just this past weekend in West Hampton, unruly juveniles walking through the streets and standing on cars with no respect for authority or others. There are towns throughout New Jersey that are also postponing their events because of experiencing the same things that I had just spoke about. This is not unique to Gloucester Township, but rather is symptomatic of a larger societal juvenile crisis. Now, I'll tell you, I don't have all the answers, but one possible answer is to hold parents accountable for their children. I saw firsthand the actions last year of these unparented juveniles. Now, I'll tell you this, when my children were growing up, I didn't have a cell phone to keep track of them. But I knew where they were, I knew who they were hanging out with, and I knew what they were up to. In Gloucester Township, we have amended our ordinance to increase the financial penalties on juveniles that violate terms of curfew and added financial penalties for their parents. In addition, we increased the number of hours of community service for both the juvenile and now the parents. Our legislators, who I will be introducing, have introduced a series of legislative efforts to confront this issue, which I will let them speak about in a few moments. But I thank them for their quick response. We are committed to keeping our community safe while continuing to invest in the future of our young people. Make no mistake, we will continue to bring our community together as we do at so many other Gloucester Township community celebrations. I now would like to introduce Gloucester Township Chief of Police, David Harkins.
Thank you, Mayor. So I want to begin by saying that the motivation behind this, the mayor said no one wanted to have this occur, that safety is the #1 priority for our residents, for our officers, especially the youth and the families who attend these events. It's a #1 priority for me in public safety. It's my sole motivation on making the recommendation to postpone this Gloucester Township Day event. Recent social media threats and comments have created a real and serious concern about violence at this event. This began on March 7, 2025 with a post that was made to save the date of Gloucester Township Day on the Gloucester Township Instagram page. This post included the date of June 7, 2025, along with the changed times that we had already planned on implementing from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The mayor's office noticed an unusual amount of sharing and alarming comments on the post, at which time I was notified. The Gloucester Township Police Intelligence Services Unit then looked into the matter and found that the posting had been copied over to a private TikTok account. However, it was open for public viewing. There we saw alarming posts and comments. The original Instagram post was taken down. However, the privately run TikTok account was still up. Some of the comments that were made are going to be included in the media package that you'll be receiving. These statements gave indication that people from across the region were going to come to create problems. One of the more alarming comments that was made was comments about weapons that were here present, which we suspected from the 2024 Gloucester Township Day event. Some of the comment that we saw someone made, he had a gun, quote, he had a gun, he didn't get a shot off, obviously. We had indication and intelligence after last year's event that there was potentially people armed. We know how violent they were and how lawless they were, and I believe that that was a real scare for us, knowing that this information was out there. So as of yesterday, on April 7, 2025, the original TikTok post still is up, because we don't have any control over that. It had received 220,000 views, 39,000 likes, over 8,000 shares, and over 800 comments made. The social media comments have openly encouraged violence and the use of firearms, which has escalated concerns regarding public safety. And that is my #1 concern. That is all of our concern here. These threats are not something that we can take lightly, and they further justify this decision to postpone the event. Last year, the event saw an influx of individuals from outside the community who caused significant disturbances, resulting in numerous arrests and injuries to at least 3 police officers, as well as several assault victims, people who were just attending the event. And in light of the experience of last year's Gloucester Township Day and our research and analysis, we cannot provide a venue to allow this type of behavior to repeat itself this year. Even if we increased police presence and security measures, the risk to the safety of just one person, whether a resident, a visitor, or an officer, is simply too great. I mean, I've seen the comments. People are telling us to deploy our armored rescue vehicle and stage officers in riot gear. That's not the kind of event, that's not something that I would sign off on for a community event, and quite frankly, I think those comments are ridiculous. Having the comments of that we should have secured the park have been made by putting fencing in. Again, increased cost and whatnot, but from my public safety experience, we can secure the park all we want. These people came to our park last year and then left our park, and all the chaos that continued throughout the next 2 hours happened across the street. So I can secure the park, we can secure the area. I cannot secure this entire region of Gloucester Township. So they're going to come to the event. If we have metal detectors, which has been suggested, we have fencing and all these other things that have been commented on about what we should do, that's only going to force them to go somewhere else. They're still going to come to the event. And in my experience, that I experienced last year, that's going to cause us problems, cause our officers problems, cause the public and communities problems all over the place. This Gloucester Township Day event attracts a large number of families, children, and elderly residents, making it particularly vulnerable to incidents of violence and disturbances. And you're talking to someone who has been coming to this event almost for 40 years when I was a kid. You're talking to someone who's attended it, and I've been a police officer for 30 years and worked this event many times. It gives us no pleasure, no one here, to have to come up with this. However, we would also be negligent if we continued on to have this event and have this kind of violence reoccur. It's our job as the people that are doing this and in charge of putting together an event. Safety has to be the #1 priority. And so that was the reason that our recommendations were made. It's our responsibility to protect the well-being of all of our community members, especially those who are just coming to have a good time. This is why we have expressed our concerns to the Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, stating even with heightened security that in our professional opinion, the risk of harm to the residents is still too great. And I commend the Scholarship Committee for listening to our concerns. I have supported this decision to postpone the event, emphasizing that these potential dangers of allowing it to proceed under the current circumstances are just too great a risk. And while some may feel disappointment by the postponement, I share in that feeling. The long-term safety and security of the community must take precedence over short-term enjoyment. Our focus is on fostering a safe environment for future community events, where residents can enjoy these activities without fear. We are committed to hosting future events that bring the community together in a safe, welcoming, and positive environment, especially because it involves fundraising for our Gloucester Township Scholarship Committee, which provides funds for the youth of this community to attend college. This decision is not the reflection of this Gloucester Township's community spirit, but it's a necessary step to ensure safety for all involved. So we ask for the community's understanding and support as we make these difficult but necessary measures to protect the community. I can speak that the men and women of the Gloucester Township Police Department are committed to public safety, and we'll do all we can to ensure that future events can take place in a secure and safe and enjoyable way. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, Chief, and thank you and the members of the Gloucester Township Police Department for putting public safety first, of course, and keeping our community safe. I mentioned that our state legislators are here. They were very quick to respond after last year's incident and introduced several pieces of legislation at this time to bring forward Senator Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. I have been coming to Gloucester Township Day for 20 years and enjoying it each and every year, so it's quite disappointing that this postponement has had to occur, but public safety is #1. As the mayor mentioned, back last year after this occurred, we discussed what do we need to give new tools to law enforcement going forward. We sat with the chief, we talked with the mayor, and we ended up coming up with a 3-bill package that we introduced. One of those bills is sitting on the governor's desk today, and it passed the legislature unanimously, and we hope that this bill gets signed immediately. We would love people to call the governor's desk and say, please sign this bill. 609-292-6000 is his number. There is a bill sitting on the governor's desk that will create a new penalty, a new statute, a new tool for law enforcement to use that will create a crime of creating or organizing a public brawl. And the people that participate and organize these types of terrible brawls would be subject to jail time of up to 18 months and a fine of $10,000 or both. We think that this gives police some new tools to send a clear message that if you do this type of activity, you're not going to get just a slap on the wrist or a ticket or a petty disorderly conduct. You could actually have to go to court and may go to jail. So we urge the governor to pass that. We have 2 other pieces of legislation that will further address some of the other areas that the governor, that the mayor talked about, specifically parental responsibility and also the reaction of local police and training those police officers to clearly find where the social media is working to bring people together and to train people to respond to this kind of activity in real time. So I'd like to introduce Assemblyman Miller to come up and talk about those other bills.
So, first and foremost, I want to thank the mayor and Chief Harkins for having this today. I think that it's important that we communicate to the residents when issues like these arise, and this is an important issue. I will say that I am extremely disheartened. I am extremely disheartened that it has come to this, where we can't even have public events without the fear of there being a brawl or violence. And I think part of this stems from what happens at home as well. We saw in Egg Harbor Township, a few days ago, where parents were brawling at a sporting event. We saw it in Gloucester Township with what happened last year during Gloucester Township Day. We've seen it on the boardwalk in Wildwood. I know we talk about the behavioral crisis that we face. I work in higher education. I served on a board of education. I know what the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic have done to our youth. However, that is not a reason to allow this type of behavior to continue to happen. And we have to start holding people accountable for their actions. Now, I understand that some of this stuff may be unpopular, as Senator Moriarty talked about with the bills. The other bill that I have deals with establishing, through the AG's office, crowd management control and a training program for local law enforcement that face these flash mobs or pop-up parties. Senator Moriarty talked about the other legislation that deals with establishing a new statute with a $10,000 fine and imprisonment, but there's also an option in that statute that allows them to do a pretrial intervention. So I'll go back to this. We have to do a better job. We have to be better. There has to be more empathy. There has to be more understanding. But we also have to stop allowing these occurrences to happen. And we have to be better. We have to be better people. Our children see what we do. And if parents at sporting events, if parents are inciting brawls and violence and attacking individuals, what have we become as a society? We have to be better. We have to do better. And I commend Gloucester Township for taking the action to postpone this event, because as a first responder myself, we know when there are challenges, public safety is paramount. If you know that something is going to happen, I would rather the township take the safe route, which is what they've done here, to ensure that no one gets hurt. So I want to thank the mayor. I want to thank Chief Harkins. I want to thank everyone who made this difficult decision, but I'll echo what I said before. We have to be better. We have to do better. We cannot continue to allow this to happen in the state of New Jersey and other parts of the country. We have to be better. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Assemblyman and Senator. Thank you for your leadership in this regard, along with Assemblyman Dan Hutchinson. I'm also joined by Councilwoman Helen Albright-Troxel and Councilwoman Carolyn Grace. So that concludes the formal presentation of the press conference, but happy to open it up for questions. Yes?
You said this is postponed. Is there a new date in the works?
No, there's no new date, but the committee is hard at work figuring out how we can restructure Gloucester Township Day.
So it is effectively canceled?
Yes. This,
Okay.
for the
On
7th.
June, on that
Yes.
date.
Okay, and then what happens to the scholarship money that would have been raised? Where is fundraising now, and what is it compared to what it was last year with everyone coming to the event?
Yeah, certainly, and if you want to give details to that, but, this committee raises money year-long. This is one event. It's the largest event that they have, but it continues to raise money to give to students. Students this year are not affected by that. Our high school seniors are not affected, but I don't know, Dick, you want to elaborate on that?
Introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Dick Hollinshead. I'm the treasurer, really the assistant treasurer for the scholarship committee. And I think I'm speaking because I've been involved in this committee for almost 40 years. Every year when we raise money, we're always raising it for the following year. So the 40 scholarships, each in the amount of $1,000 that are going to be awarded this year, that was from last year's fundraising. However, we're certainly going to be curtailed by the fact that we can't have this kind of input of funding. Last year, we raised approximately $30,000 from Gloucester Township Day. So you can imagine that that represents a substantial majority of the money that we raise. However, as the mayor said, we raise funds all year long. We had a murder mystery night not that long ago. We have a 5K run coming up, but we can't raise the kind of money that we could through Gloucester Township Day. Over the 40 years that we've been giving scholarships, counting this year, we will have awarded just under $1.5 million in scholarships. And every single penny that comes into the scholarship committee goes out about a year later to the students in Gloucester Township. And it's not just Triton, Highland, and Timber Creek. We reach out to all the schools where students who live in Gloucester Township might be attending. This year we had approximately 25 applications from parochial and other non-public schools. So this year we're okay, but our whole purpose, we really have two purposes. One is to raise money for scholarships, but the other purpose is to try to bring the community together. I think all of you know Gloucester Township is a very large geographic area, and it's kind of hard. We have various communities with different zip codes, but we're all Gloucester Township, and our idea is to run these various events to try to bring the community together, and certainly that's what Gloucester Township Day has done over the 41 years. I think the first one was in 1984. So that's kind of where we are, and we're putting our heads together to try to figure out how we can make up the money that we're not going to be getting this year, and we'll find a way with the help of the mayor and council. And I should point out that this, over these years, has been a win-win, not only for our committee, but for the township. And we've been working together very well, and I assume we will continue to work together very well. And I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Dave.
How does postponing it now prevent the township from finding itself in a similar situation in the future?
Chief, yeah.
Yeah, so we're trying to analyze statewide, okay, as the criteria. Is there a common factor involved? Social media clearly is a common factor. We're trying to analyze. We thought we tried to be proactive by changing the times, that we're not going to be out at nighttime, and see how that affects it. We tried to talk about different venues, different locations, whatnot, and it's not as easy as it sounds to have the space, parking, minimum disruption to a community and businesses and whatnot. So I can't answer how we're going to go. I can assure you that we're going to try to find the answer. It's part of the bill package that we're trying to get the resources so that we can do a better analysis and see what's going on. But I think the mayor summed it up best. This comes up to parental responsibility, right? They just shouldn't be doing this and acting in such a lawless way. And I can't predict whether they're all going to come. But in this event, they told us they're on social media speaking about it. 220,000 or more views. That's 3 times the number of people that live here in Gloucester Township. And so that, as a police chief, makes me fearful that we're going to have a repeat. And let's not forget, we experienced, I'm not guessing on this, we lived it last year. And we are a large enough municipality and police department. We had 68 officers working this event last year, which is our normal, and we're normally worried about traffic control, traffic safety, minor juvenile issues, and we had to put an all-call out throughout the county, which brought close to 200 officers to try and quell a situation that lasted for almost 2 hours. And so we are just trying to be prudent. We're not going to put ourselves in that position again. We are very lucky that we didn't have serious injuries as a result of what occurred last year. And, you know, that was that to me, I'm not going to put our officers, and I'm not going to put our town, and I'm not going to put our residents, the people who are coming to have a good time, in a position. So that's it's an evolving trend that we're trying to get a grip on.
Are there charges, have charges been filed against anyone, or could charges be filed?
In this event, no, because there are, from what we're seeing, because no overt action has been taken, we're still actively investigating some of it, but there's freedom of speech, First Amendment issues about people posting and whatnot. That doesn't mean that I just ignore the information that we're seeing in front of us.
Any plans for, on the day it would have been held, when X number of juveniles show up anyway?
So yeah, we have contingency plans in place for that. Yeah.
Senator Moriarty. I know the governor has this sitting on his desk, and there are some groups like the ACLU saying it's not being signed yet because this might have unintended consequences. Can you kind of go over what those concerns are, if they're valid or not?
I think you can enumerate them. They're your concerns, right?
Not my concerns.
Oh, okay.
No, the ACLU has the concerns that...
They have a concern that this type of legislation might be used against peaceful protesters. It might quell peaceful protesters. I don't see that. The bill specifically says that you have to be engaging in a public brawl or organizing a public brawl. If you're peacefully protesting, I don't think this affects you. So this is a piece of legislation sitting on the governor's desk. It was passed unanimously in the Senate. It passed unanimously in the Assembly. I expect the governor to sign it, I think, any day now. And I think it gives extra tools to the police department so that when we do have this event or other events like this, we can let it be known. You come here, you may go to jail. Your parents may have to be involved in going to court and doing community service if they've been neglectful. We need to send this message. People want this. People want lawfulness. They don't want people showing up and brawling. And I think this bill does that, the one that's on the governor's desk. We urge him to sign it.
Senator, if I may, I can just add to your point here. What we experienced last year in the criminal statutes, okay, it was disorderly conduct. It was more than disorderly conduct, but it did not rise. Again, legal opinion, we have to go by what we can have probable cause to charge on. It did not rise, in the opinion of legal advisors, to rioting. So there's nothing in between of disorderly conduct. Disorderly conduct is a very low level of what is happening. Obviously, the assaulting, that's a different, but this is giving us, in my opinion, the power to say the statute that have increased penalties from what we saw last year that is just below an actual riotous situation. So that's that when I made these recommendations and met originally with the mayor and our legislators to make this, and I testified to this to the Senate as the need for this, that is the main reason. There has to be a higher level of accountability, higher than disorderly conduct, which carries very low, low level of penalties and whatnot. This was more than that. This was, I thought public brawling was the perfect two-word definition of what we saw.
If the governor signs it this week or next, does that change the calculus for you all?
It certainly could from a law enforcement standpoint. Again, that when the law, we enforce the laws, right? That's our job, is our legislators' job to put forward this legislation, which I commend them for doing. They listen to us. This New Jersey State Association of Chiefs of Police, back this completely, because it's happening not just here in Gloucester Township. It's happening, as we heard, all down the shore, other events that are just, all the police chiefs that I speak to are lauding this legislation because they didn't have anything in between. And we're getting stuck with trying to, patrol and protect these types of things, and we have no indicators of when it's going to happen. It just happens, and we're stuck. Our police officers are stuck to try and quell that, putting themselves in danger to protect them. We need something in between if anything else, it needs to dissuade this type of activity from taking place.
And I want to comment too, based on what Senator Moriarty said and the concerns I believe that, have been shared with the ACLU. Under state statute right now, if someone is at a protest and engages in disorderly conduct, if they're threatening, if they're violent, that's a crime. It's already in state statute right now. What this basically does is it upgrades that to a 4th degree if a person acts with purpose to disrupt or cause a disturbance at a public gathering or event knowing that a disruption or disturbance is likely to occur. Otherwise, it is a disorderly persons offense. So there already is a legal statute that allows for individuals to face the severity of an offense. But as the chief said, there's not enough teeth in the legislation right now, which is why individuals are allowed to continue this type of behavior and conduct, and this is what the legislation seeks to do. It's not infringing on a person's constitutional rights to free speech or protest. It's upgrading the actions that they're partaking in at these public events that are assaulting law enforcement, that are threatening people, that are hitting people, that are seeking to cause harm and to hurt individuals, children at a public event and law enforcement. So, thank you.
I just wanted to add that the bill that's on the governor's desk, not only does it upgrade these penalties and provide a middle statute above disorderly and below rioting, it also allows people to be charged if they're engaging in these things and they are trying to disguise and hide who they are. We had carloads of kids showing up in the middle of June, and it was warm out, with hoodies and masks, and they were dressed so that no one would know who they were, and that they could engage in havoc and shut down this event and go unnoticed. So that's also in the legislation. And again, we urge the governor to sign it. I believe he will. It passed unanimously.
Any further questions? All right, if not, thank you very much for being here. Scholarship Committee, thank you. Legislators, thank you. And Chief, appreciate it. Thank you.
Asia, you have media packets? Yeah, so you see the mayor's communication director, Ms. Bunning, over there. She has media packets for everyone as well.
How you doing?
Young and thin, remember.
Do it to myself, too.
Call Andy.
One second.
You got it.
I want to meet rebuild.
No, I know. I got you. No worries, no worries. Yes, sir. How you doing?
The bill on the governor's desk, is that the one you're asking about? What's the bill number on the one that's on the governor's desk?
It may have went up after we had posted social media videos. The number was good. We're kind of complete from the 2024.
So the other two bills,
that we could that have charged,
the
identified.
one that's Cody's bill, which provides training and assistance.
There is, but.
So that is
Probably
voted on in the Senate
It goes to
June 2nd.
11 o'clock. Normally it's 10 o'clock earlier.
Ready to go.